Welcome to the vibrant world of Thailand's nightlife, a place that captures the imagination like few others. Picture this: neon lights flickering, music pulsing through the air, and the scent of street food tantalizing your senses. It is an atmosphere that draws people in, full of energy and excitement. You can feel the electric buzz of life all around you, each moment brimming with possibility. Now, if you've ever thought about exploring Bangkok after dark, you probably have an idea of what I mean. The city's nightlife offers everything from lively bars to bustling night markets, each corner presenting a new experience waiting to unfold. There is an undeniable allure to it, a sense of freedom that makes you forget your worries, even if just for a while. But it's not just about the dazzling lights and the lively crowds. It's about the stories that unfold in this vibrant setting, stories of love, hope, and sometimes deception. As you wander through the streets, you might find yourself captivated by the people you meet. There's a warmth and friendliness that feels inviting, especially after a long day of exploring. You could easily find yourself sitting at a bar, striking up a conversation with someone who seems to understand you in ways you hadn't expected. It's thrilling, isn't it? The way a simple interaction can spark a connection that feels profound and meaningful. But as enticing as it all sounds, there's a deeper layer beneath the surface. This enchanting atmosphere can sometimes mask the complexities of human relationships. It might lead you to believe in a fairy tale where love conquers all and everything is perfect. And it's in this intoxicating environment that our story begins, one that intertwines the excitement of Bangkok's nightlife with the realities of love and trust. So, hang tight as we dive deeper into this journey, where every twist and turn reveals lessons that resonate far beyond the neon lights. Bangkok's nightlife is nothing short of captivating. The city comes alive after sundown, transforming into a dazzling playground that draws people from all corners of the world. Imagine the streets bustling with energy, the sounds of laughter and music filling the air, and the sweet scent of street food wafting through the night. It's an intoxicating blend of neon lights, lively bars, and night markets, where every corner holds a new adventure waiting to unfold. And there's something about this atmosphere that can make you feel alive. For many, including our protagonist, it's a chance to escape the everyday grind and immerse themselves in a world that seems to promise excitement and possibilities. After a tough divorce, the allure of Bangkok's nightlife offered him a glimmer of hope, a fresh start where he could rediscover joy and perhaps even find love again. As he navigated through the crowds, the thrill of the unknown sparked a sense of adventure within him. He was ready to meet new people, experience new things, and maybe even heal from the pain of his past. The vibrant energy of the city felt like a warm embrace, inviting him to let go of his worries, even if just for a night. Now picture him stepping into a bar, the music pulsing with life, laughter echoing around him. The bar was filled with a mix of locals and tourists, all drawn together by the intoxicating atmosphere. It was here that he first felt that unmistakable spark, the kind that makes your heart race and leaves you breathless. But amidst the fun and excitement, there was an underlying current of something more complex. The nightlife scene in Bangkok is filled with charm, but it also comes with its own set of challenges and hidden truths. While it offers an escape, it can also be a confusing web of relationships, where not everything is as it seems. As our protagonist stepped deeper into this vibrant world, he found himself captivated not just by the city, but by a particular presence that caught his eye. She was a bar girl, embodying the spirit of the night with her dazzling smile and infectious laughter. In her, he saw not just someone to share a drink with, but a potential partner who could help mend the pieces of his broken heart. And so, the stage was set for a journey that would lead him down a path filled with unexpected twists and turns. It was a world that promised connection and excitement, but also concealed secrets that would challenge everything he thought he knew about love and trust. As he embarked on this new chapter in his life, the bright lights of Bangkok illuminated more than just the streets. They also cast long shadows that would soon come to reveal the complexities of the relationships formed in this enchanting city. As our protagonist settled into his new life in Thailand, he felt a strange mix of excitement and apprehension. After going through a tough divorce, he was ready for a fresh start. The vibrant streets of Bangkok were alive with energy, and he found himself drawn to the allure of the nightlife. It was a world that felt both foreign and exhilarating, offering a chance to escape the heartache of his past. You can imagine how he felt, right? With every passing day, he hoped for a connection, something that could fill the void left by his previous relationship. He wanted to believe that love was still possible, that he could find someone who would see him for who he truly was. The idea of companionship was intoxicating, especially after the loneliness that had followed him through his divorce. So, one evening, as he was wandering through a lively bar, he noticed her. She was captivating, with a smile that lit up the room and an infectious laugh that seemed to draw everyone in. They locked eyes, and in that moment, something clicked. It was as if time stood still, and all the noise around them faded away. He felt an undeniable chemistry, something that made him believe that maybe, just maybe, this could be the beginning of something beautiful. As they started talking, he was struck by how easy it was to connect with her. The conversation flowed effortlessly, filled with laughter and shared stories. She seemed genuinely interested in him, listening intently and asking questions that made him feel valued. It was a stark contrast to the feelings of disconnection he had experienced in his past. Here was someone who made him feel seen, and it was exhilarating. The connection deepened as they spent more time together. He learned about her life, her dreams, and her struggles. She painted a picture of a resilient woman who had faced challenges but still held on to hope for a better future. Her stories resonated with him, and he found himself wanting to be a part of her journey. It was a mutual exchange, filled with warmth and genuine affection that made him believe he had found something truly special. But here's the thing, as enchanting as this newfound connection was, it also left him vulnerable. He was still healing from his past, and the fear of getting hurt again lingered at the back of his mind. Yet, he chose to embrace the moment, to allow himself to feel joy and excitement. After all, isn't that what life is about? Taking risks for the chance at something wonderful? And as their relationship blossomed, he began to dream about a future together. The thought of building a life with her filled him with hope. He envisioned quiet evenings spent together, exploring the breathtaking beauty of Thailand and sharing laughter as they navigated life as partners. It was a dream that felt almost too good to be true, yet he couldn't help but indulge in it. So, as he stood on the cusp of what felt like a second chance at love, he was ready to dive in headfirst. He was eager to see where this path would take him, unaware that the journey ahead would be filled with twists that would challenge everything he believed about love and trust. But for now, in that moment, the spark of true connection was everything he had longed for, and he was ready to embrace it fully. Now, let's dive deeper into the dreams that began to take shape in the protagonist's mind after his divorce. Picture him, sitting in a cozy cafe in Bangkok, sipping on a fragrant Thai iced tea and gazing out at the bustling street. The vibrant energy of the city is all around him, and for the first time in a long while, he can feel a flicker of hope. He's just come out of a chapter that left him feeling empty, unsure, and a little lost. But now, he is ready to dream again. He starts to imagine a life filled with laughter, love, and companionship. It's not just about filling a void. It's about building something beautiful with someone who understands him, who can bring joy and warmth back into his life. As he meets new people, he begins to envision a future that is brighter than the one he left behind. In his mind, he sees himself in a cozy home, maybe with a little garden, spending lazy afternoons with someone special. He imagines quiet dinners on the balcony, sharing stories and dreaming together. And then he meets her. The connection is instant, electric. She has this incredible smile that lights up the room, and he finds himself drawn to her warmth and laughter. It feels magical, as if the universe conspired to bring them together. They share stories about their lives, their hopes, and their dreams. Each conversation deepens his belief that he's finally found that missing piece in his life. He starts to weave fantasies of a future together, where they explore the beauty of Thailand, travel to the islands, and even learn each other's languages. But it goes beyond just adventure. He dreams of building a family, or at least a life where they can support each other. He imagines waking up to her beside him, sharing breakfast and planning their day. The thought of it makes him feel alive again. He starts to invest emotionally, picturing a life where love conquers all obstacles, including his past heartbreak. He envisions them growing old together, sharing memories that would last a lifetime. However, amid these dreams, there's also a sense of urgency. After all, he's not getting any younger, and the ticking clock of time feels all too real. He wants to grab hold of this second chance and make it count. So, he starts to plan. Maybe he'll introduce her to his friends, show her the world he's built around his life in Thailand. He feels a rush of optimism, believing that this time things will be different. But dreams can sometimes cloud judgment, and as he builds this idealized version of their future, he begins to overlook subtle signs. The little things that don't quite add up start slipping his mind because he is so enchanted by the vision of love that he has created. And while he believes he is stepping into a new chapter, the reality of the situation may not be as rosy as he imagines. As we continue this journey, we'll uncover those first signs he ignored, the red flags that were waving in the background while he was busy dreaming of love and happiness. It is a reminder that, while dreams can inspire us, they can also blind us to the truths we might not want to see. So, stay with me as we peel back the layers of this story, revealing the complexities that lie ahead. So, let's dive back into the story. You remember how our protagonist was feeling hopeful after his divorce. He was ready to embrace new adventures in Thailand, longing for connection and companionship. It was during one of those vibrant nights in Bangkok that everything changed for him. The air was thick with excitement. Laughter echoed from the bars, and the neon lights danced against the dark sky. He was soaking it all in when he first laid eyes on her. She was working at one of the popular bars, a place filled with tourists and locals alike. At first glance, she was captivating. There was something about her smile that lit up the room, something genuine that seemed to reach out to him. As he approached her, he felt this undeniable spark, an energy that made him forget about everything else. They started talking, and what began as small talk quickly transformed into something deeper. They shared stories, laughter, and dreams as if they had known each other for years. You know how it feels when you click with someone, right? That initial chemistry can be intoxicating, and for him, it was like a breath of fresh air after suffocating in the confines of his old life. She listened intently, her eyes sparkling with interest as he spoke about his life, his passions, and what brought him to Thailand. He felt seen and heard in a way he hadn't in a long time, and it ignited a hope within him that maybe this was the fresh start he had been searching for. But as the night wore on, the connection only deepened. They talked about everything under the stars. He was mesmerized by her stories, her dreams, and her laughter. There was a warmth in her presence that made him feel alive again. She seemed to embody everything he had been missing. He imagined a future filled with love, adventure, and partnership. In that moment, it felt like the universe was aligning for them. Yet, amidst that intoxicating euphoria, there were subtle signs trying to break through. You know those little moments that, when you look back, make you wish you had paid more attention. Maybe it was the way she hesitated when he asked about her family, or how she seemed reluctant to share details about her life outside of work. He brushed those thoughts aside, convinced that the connection they shared was worth more than any fleeting doubt. And as their nights together turned into weeks, he found himself falling deeper. He was blinded by his feelings, caught up in the dream he was building. He started to overlook the small red flags that, in hindsight, would have raised alarms. He was too enchanted by the idea of love to listen to that little voice in the back of his head. Instead, he focused on the joy she brought into his life, the moments of laughter, and the plans they began to sketch out together. But here's the thing about love. When you're in it, especially after feeling alone for so long, it can dull your senses. You start to ignore the things that don't fit into your perfect picture, and that's exactly what happened to him. He was swept away, lost in a whirlwind of emotions and dreams, believing he had finally found his soulmate. Little did he know that those early signs he chose to ignore would soon unravel everything he thought he knew about love and trust. As we move forward in this story, we'll see just how significant those overlooked signs would become. Stay tuned. You won't want to miss what happens next. As the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a warm glow over the streets of Bangkok, our protagonist found himself wandering through the vibrant nightlife, drawn in by the pulsating energy all around him. He had just arrived in Thailand, hoping to shake off the weight of his recent divorce. It was meant to be a fresh start, but little did he know that this night would change everything. It was in a lively bar, filled with laughter and the clinks of glasses, that he first laid eyes on her. She stood out amongst the crowd, not just because of her beauty, but because of the way she carried herself. There was a spark in her eyes that drew him in, and before he knew it, they were locked in a conversation that felt both effortless and electric. They laughed over shared jokes, discussed their lives, and the chemistry between them was undeniable. It felt like they had known each other forever. even though they had just met. As they talked, he learned that she was a bar girl, a title that often carried a heavy weight in the eyes of outsiders. But to him, she was so much more than that. She spoke of her dreams, her aspirations for a better life, and he found himself captivated by her stories. She painted a picture of resilience, of hope, and in that moment, he felt an overwhelming desire to be the person who could help her achieve those dreams. So he began to imagine a future with her, one that was filled with love and laughter. He pictured lazy Sundays spent exploring the city together, and quiet evenings sharing secrets under the stars. In his heart, he believed this connection was real, and that perhaps this was the love he had been searching for. There was a warmth in her smile that made him feel alive again. And for the first time in a long time, he felt a sense of purpose. But as their relationship blossomed, he quickly became aware of the complexities that accompanied it. He started to feel a strong emotional pull toward her. He wanted to support her, not just emotionally but financially as well. He found himself wanting to make her life easier, to show her that he cared. He began to help her with small expenses, thinking it was a way to build trust and strengthen their bond. And then came the moment that would define their relationship. She introduced him to her daughter, and the sight of the little girl tugged at his heartstrings. He saw the love in her eyes and felt an instant connection, not just with the girl, but with everything that this family represented. He promised himself that he would do everything in his power to make their lives better. With each passing day, his commitment deepened, and he convinced himself that this was love. But as he was pouring his heart and his finances into this relationship, he was unknowingly treading on dangerous ground. While he believed he was building a future with her, there were cracks beginning to form beneath the surface. The signs were there, but he was too enamored to notice. It's easy to overlook the warning signs when you're caught up in the whirlwind of newfound love, isn't it? That chemistry, the connection felt so genuine that he was ready to dismiss anything that could tarnish this beautiful illusion he had created. His heart was in it, and he truly believed he had found something special. But little did he know, the deeper he went, the more perilous the waters would become. As the days rolled into weeks, the protagonist found himself swept up in a whirlwind of hope and excitement. The dream of a future together became a captivating vision that filled his mind. He imagined a life where love blossomed, complete with cozy evenings spent chatting over dinner and carefree weekends exploring the beauty of Thailand. You know that feeling when you think you found someone you can build a life with? It was intoxicating. He pictured their days filled with laughter, where they would stroll hand in hand through bustling markets, sampling delicious street food and soaking in the vibrant culture around them. He dreamed of quiet moments, where they would sit together on a beach, watching the sun dip below the horizon, feeling as if nothing else in the world mattered. This was not just a fling in his mind. This was a potential future that felt so real, so tangible. And it wasn't just about the two of them. He thought about her daughter, too. He envisioned a little family full of love and joy. He dreamed of helping her with school, being that supportive figure in her life, the kind of role model he wished he had growing up. The idea of creating a stable environment for them both filled him with purpose and determination. It was almost like he could see a little house, with laughter echoing through the halls and memories being made at every turn. But sometimes, dreams can cloud our judgment. The more he invested in this vision, the more he overlooked the signs that all was not as it seemed. He was wrapped in a cocoon of optimism, blinded by the possibilities of what could be. This idealized view made it easy to ignore the subtle hints of doubt that crept in. After all, love can make us do strange things. It can lead us to overlook red flags in favor of the warmth we crave. You might find it easy to sympathize with him. Many of us have been there, wanting to believe in something so badly that we ignore the little voices telling us to be cautious. It's a part of being human, wanting to connect deeply with someone. So, as he plotted out their future, he was building on a foundation of trust that he believed was solid. He wanted to believe that she was equally committed to building this life together. But trust is a fragile thing. It grows in the light of honesty and shared dreams, yet it can easily be shaken by the winds of doubt and deception. The protagonist felt secure in their bond, convinced that they were on the same page, dreaming the same dreams. He had already started making plans, hoping to invest both emotionally and financially into their future. He was ready to buy that little house, ready to take on the role of a caring partner and father figure. And just as he was beginning to feel that sense of security, The ground beneath him was starting to shift, ever so slightly. It was as if the universe was hinting that not everything was aligned as he thought, but with each dream he built, he felt the urge to dismiss those nagging thoughts, believing wholeheartedly in the love they shared and the future they could create together. Little did he know, though, that the tides were about to turn, and the dreams he held so dear would soon be tested in ways he never expected. As the relationship blossomed, the protagonist's dreams for the future began to take shape. He envisioned a life filled with laughter, love, and shared adventures. Imagine the sun setting over the beaches of Thailand, the sky painted in hues of orange and pink, while they strolled hand in hand along the shore. He could see it so clearly. A life where they would build memories together, exploring not just the vibrant cities, but also the tranquil countryside, soaking in all the beauty Thailand had to offer. He pictured cozy evenings at local restaurants, savouring spicy dishes and exchanging stories about their lives. They would share their hopes and dreams, and he imagined her laughter filling the air, a sweet melody that made his heart flutter. It was easy to get lost in these daydreams, where love felt effortless and the future sparkled with promise. He thought about how wonderful it would be to introduce her to his friends, to show her off as the partner he had always yearned for. In his mind, they would create a home together, a sanctuary filled with warmth and love. He envisioned a small but charming place, decorated with mementos from their travels and little touches that reflected both of their personalities. The idea of starting a family danced in his thoughts, with the hope that someday they could have children who would inherit both their cultures, creating a beautiful blend of traditions and values. But it wasn't just about the idyllic scenes of their life together. He was genuinely invested in her happiness and well-being, believing he could be the partner she needed. He thought he would help her achieve her dreams, whether that was furthering her education or starting a small business. He imagined encouraging her every step of the way, supporting her ambitions while also finding joy in their shared experiences. As he built this vision, he felt a sense of purpose, a kind of hope he had not experienced in a long time. This was more than just a relationship. It was a promise of a new beginning, a chance to rewrite the narrative of his life after the heartbreak of his divorce. And it fueled his desire to do whatever it took to make this dream a reality. But as we know, sometimes dreams can cloud our judgment. In his quest for love and connection, he began to overlook the small signs that hinted at something deeper beneath the surface. While he was busy imagining this beautiful future, he was unknowingly setting himself up for a shocking revelation. Soon, the reality of his situation would come crashing down like a wave, washing away the sandcastles he had so carefully built in his mind. The dreams he held so dearly would soon be tested as the truth about her life began to unravel. Little did he know, the happiness he envisioned was built on a foundation that was anything but stable. As we move forward, we will delve into the emotional toll of discovering this hidden truth and the impact it had on his dreams. Stay tuned as we explore how betrayal shapes the very core of what he hoped for, leading to a painful reckoning that no one ever wants to face. The emotional toll of betrayal can be overwhelming, and for our protagonist, it felt like a storm had rolled in without warning. One moment, he was riding the high of love, and the next, he was grappling with gut-wrenching feelings of pain, anger, and confusion. When he discovered the truth about the Thai bar girl's hidden boyfriend, it was as if his world had shattered into a million pieces. The trust he had placed in her evaporated, leaving behind a hollow ache that was hard to shake. You might wonder how someone can go from bliss to despair so quickly. It's a journey that many can relate to, especially when love blinds us to reality. At first, he felt a rush of emotions. Anger surged through him like a tidal wave. How could she betray him after everything they had shared? He replayed memories in his mind, questioning every laugh, every intimate moment they had shared. Were those moments even real? Or were they simply part of her act? It's a painful realization when you start to see the cracks in what you thought was a solid foundation. And then came the sadness. It settled in his chest like a weight, making it hard to breathe. He had poured so much of himself into her, into their dreams of a life together. The plans they made felt like a cruel joke now. He found himself mourning not just the relationship, but also the future he had envisioned. It's a kind of grief that can feel all-consuming, and in those moments, he struggled to find any sense of clarity. But it wasn't just sadness and anger he felt. There was confusion too. The emotional turmoil left him questioning his judgment. How did he miss the signs? It's easy to look back and see what you didn't want to see at the time. The subtle changes in her demeanor, the little inconsistencies in her stories, and the nagging feeling that something was off. It all came rushing back to him like a flood. He had brushed away the doubts, convinced that love would conquer all. But love can also blind us, making it difficult to see the truth. You might relate to this feeling of betrayal. It's not just about the person who deceived you, it's about the impact they have on your sense of self. For our protagonist, this whole experience shook his confidence. He began to wonder if he could ever trust again. The warmth he once felt when thinking about love was replaced by cold apprehension. It's amazing how quickly love can turn to fear, isn't it? As he navigated through this emotional minefield, he realized he had to confront his feelings head-on. It was tempting to bury the pain and move on, but true healing requires facing the hurt. He sought solace in talking to friends, sharing his story, and allowing himself to feel the full weight of his emotions. This openness became a vital part of his recovery process. The truth is, betrayal leaves scars that can take time to heal. Acknowledging the pain is the first step toward moving forward. It's a difficult journey, but it can also be transformative. Learning to rebuild trust, especially in oneself, can be one of the most powerful lessons we can take away from such experiences. In the next part, we will dive into the financial collapse that followed this emotional upheaval. It's not just the heart that gets hurt in these situations. The financial costs can be staggering, and our protagonist was about to learn that lesson the hard way. As we dive into the next chapter of our story, it's important to take a moment to reflect on the subtle warning signs that began to emerge early in the relationship. These signs were like whispers in the night, soft and almost easy to ignore, especially when you're caught up in the thrill of newfound love. You know how it is. When everything feels perfect, it's hard to see the cracks forming beneath the surface. So let's talk about some of those early moments that, in hindsight, should have raised a few red flags. Remember when the protagonist first met her? The chemistry was electric, and it felt like they were the only two people in the room. That initial spark blinded him to the small inconsistencies in her stories. She would share details about her life that seemed just a bit too rehearsed, almost as if she were reading from a script. But when you're wrapped up in romance, those little discrepancies can seem insignificant. And then there were the late-night phone calls. He often noticed her acting a bit distant when her phone buzzed. She would quickly switch screens or step away to take the call, and while he tried to brush it off as just her being busy, a nagging feeling started creeping into his mind. It was one of those things that made him uneasy, but he was so focused on the love he was feeling that he didn't want to question her. After all, love can make you overlook a lot. There was also the way she spoke about her past. She sometimes hinted at a difficult history, talking about struggles that seemed to linger in the background. Instead of digging deeper, he found himself feeling protective, wanting to be the one to help her heal. That instinct to nurture often clouds your judgment, doesn't it? You want to believe you can save someone, but in doing so, you might ignore the fact that they're not being completely honest with you. And let's not forget the financial discussions. Initially, everything felt mutual and supportive. He was happy to help her out, thinking it was a natural part of being in a relationship. But some conversations about money felt a bit off. She had a way of framing her financial needs that made him feel guilty if he didn't step up to help. Instead of seeing it as a potential warning, he interpreted it as a sign of trust and intimacy. Isn't it fascinating how love can skew our perception of reality? As the relationship progressed, he found himself more and more invested, not just emotionally, but financially. The money he sent her way for her daughter's schooling or her living expenses became a way for him to validate his feelings. But what he didn't realize was that this financial commitment was building a barrier between them. It created a dynamic where love became intertwined with obligation, making it harder to see the truth when it finally came crashing down. So, as we reflect on this part of the journey, it's a reminder of how easily we can overlook those warning signs when we are blinded by affection. Love can be intoxicating, but it can also cloud our judgment. It's important to trust your instincts and take a step back when something doesn't feel right. The next part of our story will explore the financial collapse that followed his emotional investment. But for now, let's just remember that sometimes the signs are there. You just have to be willing to see them. As we dive deeper into the story, it's essential to understand the reasons behind the protagonist's financial support for her. You see, when he met her, he was captivated not just by her beauty, but also by her charm and the story she told. She painted a picture of a life that was hard, filled with struggles and sacrifices, and he felt a genuine desire to help. It's easy to get swept up in that feeling, especially when you think you're building a future together. So, when she mentioned her daughter, his heart tugged even more. The thought that he could make a difference in both their lives was intoxicating. He believed he was not just falling in love, but also stepping into a role of protector and provider. He started to send money for her daughter's education and even helped with daily expenses. Each time he wire transferred funds, he felt a sense of purpose. He thought he was investing in their future, creating a life that would be rewarding for all of them. But as time passed, he began to wonder if he was giving too much. There were moments when he felt a flicker of doubt. Was he supporting her, or was he being used? Yet, every time he tried to pull back, she would reassure him with sweet words and affectionate gestures. She would remind him how much she appreciated his generosity and how it was making their dreams possible. It was hard to resist that kind of emotional connection, especially when you want to believe the best in someone. And it's not just the financial aspect that he invested in. He became emotionally attached, creating a bond that made it difficult to see the situation clearly. He was in deep, and with love comes vulnerability. It's like you open your heart and wallet, hoping to build something beautiful. But sometimes, that very openness can cloud your judgment. Now, let's take a moment to reflect on what this means for anyone watching. If you find yourself in a similar situation, it's essential to remember that love should be a partnership. It's about give and take, and not just one person bearing the burden. You should feel valued not just for what you can provide, but for who you are as a person. This experience should serve as a cautionary tale. Supporting someone financially can feel rewarding, but it's crucial to establish healthy boundaries. If you're constantly giving without receiving anything in return, it might be time to reassess the relationship. The protagonist learned this the hard way, and it's a lesson worth sharing. He started to realize that the more he gave, the more he felt trapped in this cycle. It's easy to confuse affection for gratitude, especially in a relationship where financial support plays a significant role. If you're not careful, you can lose sight of yourself and what you truly want from a relationship. So, as we continue this journey, keep in mind the importance of mutual support. Relationships should enrich your life, not drain you. You deserve love that is balanced, where both partners contribute in meaningful ways. As we move forward, we will delve into how this realization impacted the protagonist and what it meant for his future. So, as the dust started to settle from the whirlwind of betrayal, our protagonist found himself grappling not just with heartbreak, but also with the financial mess that had unfolded. It wasn't just about the money he lost. It was about the emotional investments he had made, which often blurred the lines between love and obligation. You see, when he first met her, everything felt so genuine. He was drawn to her charm, her laughter, and the way she seemed to light up the room. But as their relationship deepened, his feelings began to take on a different shape. He started helping her financially, not because he felt pressured, but because he genuinely wanted to support her. She shared stories about her daughter, and it tugged at his heartstrings. He wanted to be the hero, the man who could provide a better life for both of them. He envisioned a future where they could build a family together, and that dream made it easy to overlook the practicalities. He sent money for her daughter's schooling, helped with rent, and even covered unexpected expenses. Each act of generosity felt like a step towards solidifying their bond. But then, the reality began to creep in. The more he gave, the more he realized he was investing in a fantasy rather than a relationship built on mutual trust and respect. It was as if he was trying to buy love with every dollar he sent her way. And that's a slippery slope, isn't it? You might think you are doing the right thing, showing your love through actions, but it can quickly turn into a one-sided affair where your kindness is taken for granted. He often found himself justifying his decisions. She would tell him how hard life was, how she struggled to make ends meet, and how much she appreciated his support. And in that moment, it was easy to feel like a pillar of strength. But deep down, he started to question whether his financial support was truly helping her, or if it was just enabling a cycle of dependency. It was a confusing time, filled with moments of doubt that he tried to brush aside in favor of the affection they shared. As he began to process the betrayal, those financial commitments became a haunting reminder of how he had placed his trust in someone who had not only deceived him, but had also taken advantage of his good intentions. The realization hit him hard, Love can sometimes blind you to the truth, and in his case, it led him to make decisions he would later regret. The emotional fallout was immense. He felt a mix of anger and sadness, not just for the money he lost, but for the dreams he had built around a relationship that had been built on lies. He had poured his heart and resources into someone who was never truly invested in him, and that's a tough pill to swallow. But through all this, he started to find a way to rebuild. It was about more than just recovering financially. It was about rediscovering his own strength and learning to trust himself again. He realized that moving forward required more than just thinking about the future. It also meant reflecting on the past and understanding the lessons it offered. The journey ahead was daunting, but he was ready to embrace it, armed with the wisdom he had gained through his experience. In the next part of this story, we will explore how this experience profoundly changed his perspective on love and relationships, and how he began to see the world in a new light. As we dive into this next chapter of our story, it's crucial to recognize how transformative experiences can shape our perspectives on love and relationships. The protagonist, still reeling from the betrayal and emotional turmoil, found himself standing at a crossroad. It was a moment of reckoning, where he had to sift through the wreckage of his past choices and consider what they meant for his future. Now, you might be wondering how someone moves on from such a profound heartbreak. For our protagonist, the journey started with self-reflection. He began to understand that while he had invested so much of himself into this relationship, he also lost sight of his own needs and boundaries. This realization was both painful and liberating. It was painful because it forced him to confront the fact that he had been blinded by love, but liberating because it opened the door to a new understanding of what he truly wanted. He started to see love through a different lens. It was no longer just about finding someone to fill the void left by his divorce. Instead, it became about mutual respect, shared values, and the importance of honesty. He learned that love should never come at the cost of one's self-worth or dignity. This newfound perspective wasn't just an epiphany, it was a lifeline that led him toward healing. As he spent more time in Thailand, he began to engage with the culture on a deeper level. He explored the beauty of the country, not just through the nightlife, but by connecting with locals and experiencing their stories. This connection helped him see the richness of human experience beyond the romantic relationships he had pursued. He learned to appreciate friendship and community, finding joy in interactions that were grounded in authenticity rather than romantic intentions. But the healing process was not without its challenges. There were days when memories of his past relationship would creep back in, reminding him of the pain and loss. Yet, instead of letting those memories drag him down, he chose to use them as stepping stones toward personal growth. He began journaling, channeling his feelings into writing that not only helped him process his emotions, but also provided clarity on what he wanted in a partner moving forward. He also sought out advice from friends and mentors, people who had faced their own struggles in love. Listening to their stories made him realize that he was not alone in his journey. He discovered that many people have weathered storms in relationships and emerged stronger, with a more profound understanding of themselves. As he opened himself up to new experiences, he gradually became more discerning. He learned to ask the right questions, to trust his instincts, and to recognize the importance of setting boundaries. This shift in mindset not only helped him in his romantic pursuits, but also enriched his friendships and professional relationships. The protagonist was evolving, shedding the layers of naivety that once clouded his judgment. He began to embrace the idea that vulnerability is a strength, not a weakness. He understood that true love is built on a foundation of trust and respect, and he was determined to seek out connections that reflected that. So, as he moved forward, he held on to the lessons learned from his past. He transformed his heartbreak into resilience, paving the way for healthier relationships and a deeper understanding of what love truly means. And in doing so, he set himself on a path not just to find love again, but to build a life filled with authenticity and joy. As we dive deeper into the protagonist's story, let's take a moment to reflect on that pivotal moment when trust began to weave its way into their relationship. It's fascinating how trust can develop so quickly, especially when you feel an intense connection with someone. For the protagonist, this was a time when everything seemed perfect. The late-night conversations, the laughter shared over meals, and those fleeting moments that felt like they belonged to a romantic movie. He truly believed he was building something real. But here's the thing. Trust is a double-edged sword. It can create bonds that feel unbreakable, yet it can also blind you to the warning signs that are right in front of you. The protagonist found himself wanting to believe in her. They talked about future plans, shared dreams, and even explored the depths of their vulnerabilities together. It's no wonder he felt so deeply committed. He had already invested emotionally, and in many ways, he was ready to bet on their love. But when you start to let your guard down, that's when you need to be the most careful. Trust should be built on mutual honesty and transparency, yet sometimes it forms on shaky ground. The protagonist's heart was open, and he was willing to overlook certain discrepancies. Maybe it was the late-night phone calls that he assumed were just her catching up with friends, or the unexplained absences that he rationalized as part of her work life. Each time he brushed aside those doubts, he was deepening his commitment. But he was also stepping further into a web of uncertainty. In his mind, he was making sacrifices for love, believing that this was just part of what it meant to be in a relationship. He felt that by supporting her, he was proving his trust and loyalty. But this also made him more vulnerable because he was investing not just his money, but his heart. The deeper he went, the harder it became to see things clearly. It's a cycle many people fall into, especially when emotions run high and the desire for connection is so strong. So, while trust can be a beautiful aspect of relationships, it's vital to remember that it should never come at the cost of your intuition. In his case, it was a bittersweet lesson that would soon unravel everything he thought he knew about love, trust, and the person he had come to care for so deeply. As we move forward, keep this in mind. Trust is essential, but it must be balanced with awareness. As we wrap up this journey together, it's essential to reflect on the powerful themes of love, loss, and the lessons that endure long after the experience fades. You've seen how the protagonist's hope for a fresh start led him down a path filled with both joy and heartbreak. His story reminds us that love can be one of the most beautiful experiences in life, but it can also lead us to moments of deep pain and betrayal. It's easy to get swept away by the allure of romance, especially in a vibrant place like Thailand. The excitement of a new connection can cloud our judgment, making it hard to see the warning signs that might be right in front of us. This story illustrates that sometimes the very things we desire most can become the sources of our greatest lessons. As you move forward, keep in mind the importance of caution. It doesn't mean you should close your heart off to love, but rather embrace it with eyes wide open. Understand the complexities of human relationships, especially in environments where cultural differences can lead to misunderstandings. Trust is a beautiful thing, but it needs to be earned through consistent actions over time. You might find yourself reflecting on your own experiences. Perhaps you have faced similar challenges or felt the sting of betrayal. Remember, every hardship is a chance to grow, to learn, and to emerge stronger. The protagonist's journey didn't end in despair. It led to personal growth and a new perspective on relationships. So as we conclude, take these lessons with you. Approach love with both passion and discernment. Seek connections that enrich your life while being mindful of the red flags. Life is a series of experiences, and each one, whether joyful or painful, can teach us something valuable. Thank you for joining me on this journey. Until next time, keep your heart open, but your eyes wide.